Have you ever wondered if you should refine a piece after crafting it, or if you should dismantle and reforge it to get the guaranteed crit? We're going to talk about that in this video. You can see the math right here, it's very simple. You just get over how many you craft, right? This is just a basic table, how many you craft. The chance of critting is 11%, chance of not critting is 89%. This is how many blueprints it costs, of course 1 per craft. And then for refining, this number 2.57, I'll show you where it's from. Right here we have a simple matrix. Here you can see the current state, and here you can see the state it's transformed to. So if you're currently at 0 out of 100 when refining, this is the chances of getting 25, 50, 75, 100. And if you're at 100, of course, it's 100 or 0. And then here we do a Markov chain. So we add up all the numbers, and then we get the average, which is rounded 2.57. And if we do a code simulation, and we do some simulation runs, we'll get exactly the same result, 2.57. And going back to the list, so we take the number from before and put it in here. If you get an insta-crit, you don't have to refine, so it only costs 1 blueprint. And if you don't get an insta-crit, you have to have the crafting blueprints plus the refine. And then the total is simply the cost of an insta-crit times the chance to crit, and the cost of no crit times the chance of not critting. So on average, to craft and refine one piece of thing, it costs you 3.28. And you can see the same number here. The reason they are slightly different is because of rounding, because this one uses 2.57 and this one uses a more accurate number, so there's no rounding errors. And then we take the maths, of course. This is in percentage. I'll explain the maths. When you craft something, it's 100%. When you refine something, it's 50%. And I can show you in the game, crafting a chest plate costs 60 materials. But if I go and refine this, it will only cost me 30. So this is half the cost, but still a full blueprint. So looking at this, we can calculate the material costs and the blueprint cost for how many you craft and refine. So for crafting and refining 7 pieces, it will cost you on average 21 blueprints and 1,400% materials. For boots and gloves, since they cost 40 materials, this is almost 600. For something like horns or rings, which are other accessories, because drums are slightly cheaper, drums are 100, and these accessories are 120. It will cost about 1.7 thousand legendary materials to craft and refine 7 pieces. And then here you can also see the code that was used for it and the code for the materials. And you might also notice that the gap from these is linear, so it always increases by 3.29. But once you get to 5, it only increases by 1.8-ish. And the reason for that is that for 5, you have a good chance of getting the insta-crit. You could have critted before, which is taken into consideration. But there's a high likelihood, I believe it was 68%, that you will not get the crit before and that you will crit on the 5th one. So that's why it's slightly cheaper. And also the materials are less, of course. And going forward, it's also cheaper because you don't know if you got that insta-crit before or if you didn't. And now down here is the juicy table. This is what matters. This is when we take into consideration the dismantling. So when you want to only make 3 pieces, I'll say this now, this is very important. For this strategy to work, you have to know how many pieces of one thing you want to make beforehand. You have to know if you want to have 3 calf marches, 3 inf marches, maybe 4. You have to know if you want to make 6 drums, 6 horns, 6 rings, maybe you want to make 7, maybe only 5. If you don't know, don't dismantle. Only dismantle if you're 100% sure you crafted your last piece. And I'll get into it why, and you're gonna understand. Well, I hope you understand. So first we have the code, of course, we also use code for this. This is slightly more complicated. There's a lot of different variables because you can crit at any moment. You could do this without code if you do all the math, but there will be a lot of calculations by hand and it'll be quite cool to see actually, but I'm way too lazy for that. So when your goal is to make only 3 pieces, this is for stuff like regular cav equipment, regular infantry equipment, hope cloaks, just regular stuff. I don't think many people make more than 3 marches of one thing. It will be cheaper in total, blueprints and maths wise, if you refine the first 2, dismantle the last one if you get a crit. On average, of course. If you crit before that, if you make 4, it's the same. The last one, you want to dismantle and refine. For stuff like accessories, this is not as easy because you're probably gonna make 6 eventually, right? Eventually, when you have 7 marches. And if you never get 7 marches, you're probably gonna make 5 anyways, or maybe 6. And the benefit of 5 of dismantling and refining is very small. And you might say, hold on, if I craft 5, why would I dismantle one if I get the insta-crit on the 5th one anyways? And that's because you're not guaranteed to get it on the 5th one, of course. You can get it before. And with any of these, if you, let's say, want to make 6 things, right? Make 6, let's do it right here. You make 6 pieces total, okay? You craft the first one, you craft the second one, you craft the third one, and the third one insta-crits. Now your pity is at 0, right? Your pity equals 0 now. So what that means is that your 5th, 4th, and 6th one are not 4, 5, and 6. They're 1, 2, 3 now. So now you refine these two, and then for the 4th, 5th, you craft these, you refine these, and the last one you dismantle, because now you're in this bracket. If you make 6 total and the third one insta-crit, you get lucky, you're in this bracket where you have 3 pieces left. If you make 7 pieces and the second one insta-crit, you're in the 5th bracket now. You always take the position you're in and not the total position. And this is the most important thing. You can't just blindly follow this. You have to keep in mind where your crit position is. If you want to make 3 and the first one insta-crits, now you can't do this anymore. You can't dismantle the last one. Because when you dismantle the last one, your crits will only be at 2 instead of 3. And then you won't profit from it. So it's very important to keep in mind. Very important to keep in mind. When you get a lucky insta-crit, which is not a 100% guarantee, you always have to relook how many pieces you have left to craft and relook at the bracket, right? See if it's worth it to dismantle the last one or not. And only dismantle if you're 100% sure it's the last piece you will make. If it won't be the last piece you craft, if you don't dismantle the last piece, you will get negative material and blueprint gain. It won't be positive like it is right here. This is only for the last piece you make. So let's go over it again, okay? Just one last time so everybody understands this. This is very important for your account. So you get safe blueprints, you get safe materials. If I finish crafting all the pieces I want for this particular piece, which is the drums right here, if I finish crafting all of them, I'm 100% sure I'm not going to craft a single drum anymore. I have 5 drums, I have 6 drums, and I'm happy with it. And the pity line, this line right here, is at 3 or 4, because it can't ever be at 5. If it's at 5, it'll reset and disappear. If it's at 3 or 4, that means I can go ahead, dismantle one of them, and recraft them. But if I then do that, and like a year later I make another drum, then I didn't actually gain any materials and blueprints. So always keep in mind you can only do this if it's the last piece you make. So doing a bit of math, we can calculate that the total material and blueprint save is 20 blueprints and 738 mats if you do it for 7 marches. And that's considering the average of 2 scenarios where you have 3-3-1 setup for your marches for 7 marches and a 4-2-1 setup, and 6 accessories of one type twice. So let's say 6 rings, 6 horns, then you have like 1 pendant and 1 greatest glory, for example. So this is of course just an example. It might be less, might be more depending on your setup. So make sure to follow the strategy. Make sure to only dismantle if it's the last piece you make and if your pity is set free. And before then you are fine. And if you do it correctly, you can save a lot of materials and blueprints. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped everyone who watches this. If you didn't understand anything, just leave a comment. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.